You're listening to Mondays Unfiltered, the podcast for anyone who's accepted that work is inevitably work. We're your hosts, Heather and Kristen. We break down burnout, baffling policies, and corporate chaos with dry humor and real solutions. Grab your coffee and whatever optimism survived the weekend, Mondays have begun. A little about us. Chris spent decades helping executives shape brands and craft messages that inspire, and I built systems that actually made those visions work behind the scenes and kept people from falling apart in the process. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, Kristen.
Heather, I love your earrings, by the way. Oh, and your
Oh, thank you.
necklace too.
Yeah, they're fun. Thanks.
Are you going someplace later?
I'm getting my toes done today, but that's it. I'm not going fancy. That was just what I had on yesterday, and I don't often change my jewelry. I leave
Do
it
you
pretty much
sleep
the
in?
same. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I have to have everything off my body. I can't have it.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, so we are talking about company culture. We've talked about
Yeah.
this before,
Yeah.
but I came across a piece of content that I was absolutely shocked at.
Okay.
And or maybe you shared it with me. It might be the TikTok video you shared with me.
Mm.
So you can talk about that in a second. But rather than talk about stats, which come from the Gallup poll that we use a lot, um, for this one, I just could not get away from Office Space. So sorry, you guys. This quote, I might have even used it before, is from Office Space. And I love it. It's not that I'm lazy, it's just that I don't care.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that one. Just the tone that he uses. Not that I'm lazy. It's just that I don't care.
I just don't care. Um, and as we're seeing, the Gallup poll says, um, workplace engagement is really on the downswing. And, that poll was taken last year. And I would imagine with all of the tech layoffs that it's probably even worse right now. Anyway, so let's go back and talk about company culture because you sent me a really interesting TikTok. Um, and I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Well, I sent you a few of them. Let me see.
Anyway, my manager had the most iconic response to an exec yesterday, and the entire leadership team witnessed it, and I have it all recorded on the playbacks app. Go get your coffee,
Let me
tea,
listen to it.
coffee, wine, juice, whatever the hell you want. Just come back. Essentially what company culture means to them. My manager's turn comes, and she goes,
This was a
honestly,
good
I
one.
think company culture
Yeah.
is what you do, not what you say. Facilitator gets all like thinking man on her, right? She's like, can you expand on that? And my manager goes, sure, you can talk all day about values and mission statements, but if you're overworking your employees and underpaying them, that's your actual culture.
So Heather, you sent me a TikTok,
Yeah.
which I thought, oh my gosh, first of all, the manager that woman in TikTok is talking about,
Yeah.
kudos.
Right. I was like, high five.
So why don't you for our audience, why don't you just give a quick summation and maybe you can link it in the
Yeah, I'll definitely
description.
put it in there because it was a really great video. So the manager shared a recording of the meeting with her team, which was like awesome. And so it was of her calling the leadership to the carpet about you can talk all you want about what you do, but when you don't follow through on the things that you say or promise or propose, that's the culture. And so like one of her explanations was when you say you're going to provide salaries or provide the experience, but then you're paying minimum wage and expecting higher results, then that's the culture that you're creating is the experience that your employees are experiencing. So yeah, I'll definitely link it in because it was pretty lengthy, the video, but it was worth a listen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you sent that to me, and I don't have TikTok, so I think you downloaded it for
I
me.
did, yeah.
I I was like, oh my God, that. that is a leader. Like you and I talk about leadership all the
Yeah.
time. That person had a management position, had a team, and talk about taking one for the team and just
Mhm.
having the cojones to stand up there and say,
Mhm.
you guys, we don't need another pizza party. You guys,
Yes.
because the whole purpose, let me also frame this out a little bit more.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of this all hands, you guys, is they wanted to have like an all hands meeting to talk about how can we improve company culture. We've gotten some feedback, company culture, and I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
It has been on the downswing. And the big message that this manager said is walk the talk or talk the
Yeah.
walk, whatever
Yeah.
that means, and pay people.
Right.
Pay people, give them time off, don't overwork them.
Yeah.
And
I can't
I
tell you how
mean,
many pizza parties. It was a joke at my last firm that when people would get hired, we would tell them, go buy the next size bigger pair of pants because you're going to need it because there's so much food that comes through this place as a celebration and you end up like falling victim to it and growing out of your clothing. And even when we would get like little perks at the end of the season. Like somebody would, like, I remember one time I was like, why did they even waste their money sending this? It was a tower of like treats where it's like nuts and chocolate and whatever doodads. It's like that stacking tower.
yes, yes,
They
yes, yes.
mailed those not in the package to us. They mailed them like in individual in boxes. I was like, what is this? And why would you waste the total sum of all of that plus the cost of postage and all of that? What a waste. And we were like, at the very least, give us a $25 gift card that we can put in our gas tank. And now it'd have to be like $75 to put in our gas tank. But give us the
Let's not even
cash to
go there.
support the need. Don't give us food. Don't give us, these cheapo things that we could give two crap. Like who wants I swear to God, I could open a store with all of the tchotchke crap that I've collected from my companies that I've worked for.
Well, why I think sometimes they do that is it's
Easy
a write-off.
advertising.
Well, it's a write-off. So if you do bonuses or you give salaries and things like that, well, first of all, I mean, it's relatively small. Like they're touchy things. Like if you're buying a tower of chocolates, what are they like $65? So, they can
I
do
would have
that.
rather had the gas money.
Me too. I mean, and I like your idea. Like I've worked at companies where they give you, a gift card, like $100 gift card at Christmas. And,
Right.
you know, I used it to buy and I was pretty well paid. It's not like I needed it, but
Yeah, I had
I
a
used it
decent
to
salary,
buy,
but even still.
yeah, yeah, I used it to buy Christmas dinner or something,
Yeah.
because we would all, like we have a small family, but we would contribute to the
Mhm.
Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was an amazing, and I was applauding that. And
Yeah.
it is, as luck would have it, I had breakfast with a good friend of mine. He lives in the Denver area. We're both from Virginia, and he is a software developer, and he's worked his way up, and he's fairly young, um, and and I don't mean to say that to put him down. It's just he's very composed and he's just very mature.
Oh, okay.
He's worked his way up and he has a team and he's working for a software development company that supports financial services. So they develop software for financial services. And he followed his boss from the old company to this one, and he's gotten increasingly expanded responsibilities and teams. And so they're on track for delivering a huge project. And he's very happy with the way he's compensated. And his boss came to him and he goes, "Oh, I'd love to give you another raise because you're doing so well." And my friend says, "Don't give me a raise. Give Joe Blow on my team a raise. He's the one that needs it." And I was like, "Do you know what great leadership that is?"
Mhm.
That's the kind of thing, where he took one for the team and he's like, "I'm well paid, this person." So anyways, he did that. And I was like, that's the kind of thing where somebody's walking the talk,
Mhm.
and that's good leadership. I mean, I'm hearing for more and more people, especially in the tech sector. I mean, this person happens to be really happy. I think it's a smaller company. They have a great boss, right? So again, that kind of sets the tone.
Yeah.
Pretty good culture, but you have to have a boss that takes the hits for you.
Yeah.
And I've worked at companies where, HR works with marketing to come out with like this whole series of slogans. Back when we were in the office, they paste stuff up, and they have
Yeah, but do
company
you follow it?
celebration. They don't follow it.
I know.
And then, the shit hits the fan. Something happens, they miss their mark, and there goes all those little pretty little poster boards. The teeth come out, the nails come out, and they're jerks. I would say something worse. So I think a lot of people are feeling that now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm even hearing from people that had worked at companies where they said, "Oh my gosh, the culture is so excellent," and it's just completely eroded.
Yeah. And I actually had a conversation with someone last week about that, that is actively looking. And I said, well, describe to me what's going on and where you're at. And like when you first started there, what it was like, if there's anything that's changed. And she described the scenario in the company leadership that's changed over time, from like, and it was interesting because it was almost in line with the same time frame that I had at my last organization, where you're starting in like 2013, 2014. Leadership is good. In 2020 they got a new CEO, leadership changed, the vibe changed, the expectations changed. And so she was like, now I'm actively looking. And she's like, it's not the same place that I started at. And I'm like, I hear you, I've been there.
Well, I think there's so much, now we're getting off topic a little bit, but I think there's so
But I think
much.
that's culture though. Like that is the culture. The culture changed.
Exactly. But what I'm saying now, what I started to say is that I think what's happening is with this prevalence of AI and all these layoffs, and I mean it affects companies differently. The economy is certainly challenging right now. If you read The Economist or any of the investment stuff, there's like, hey, we're teasing towards recession. Certainly prices have gone up, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting, because I now get like CIO magazine, CTO magazine, because I'm in this, I'm have am culling a bunch of my old stuff together, like my software work and the digital transformation work and the marketing work and all that kind of stuff. So I'm starting to read a bunch of stuff, but it's the point I'm getting to is that even these like technology magazines and the experts. And there was an article that a former colleague of mine wrote who talks a lot about technology. And he said, wait a minute here. CEOs are getting out ahead of their skis. There's no plan. They're just frightened to death of being irrelevant or not
The
implementing AI.
CTOs are, or the CEOs are?
CEOs are because the board and the CEOs are getting ahead of their skis about transformation, technology
Hmm.
transformation, and AI, and they're not really outlaying any kind of plan. They're just saying, "Hey, let's do XYZ. We'll
Yeah.
lay off all these people." So culture starts eroding as well
Mm,
because it becomes more about the bottom line, and they think, "Oh, people are replaceable."
yeah.
I mean, I think that's one theory you can go with.
Yeah. I do agree with, um culture is affected by um speed of change, in that planning is often lacking when they're trying to beat time rather than going at it strategically, and laying out a plan of action. And even if it does come to laying employees off or removing roles that an employee would do. I had a really great conversation today with someone in the AI space that said, consider AI as, uh, when you're approaching it, that it's supporting the task, not your purpose. So your purpose still exists. And so AI will take the task away, but your purpose should still be there. And so if the plan still includes that the way that you're going to serve your clients, the way that your employees are going to serve the clients, and the tasks are being adjusted, and you're not just throwing people away randomly, willy-nilly without a plan. And I've seen that so many times in my career. And then the error repeats itself. Like they didn't learn from it. They didn't analyze the struggles that they had with the last implementation. They just go ahead and do the next group rather than taking the time. Like a big part of my PMP training was when you're done with a project to analyze, the wind down, what went good, what went bad,
Postmortem.
yeah. And so that you're not repeating the same error in the next one.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole thing about project management and scoping, evolution and change, but I think a lot of it is going into that, especially right now. I mean, I think there's been different iterations of, like you were talking about with the former company that you worked at, or it was great to work at it to start with, and then it went downhill.
Yeah.
And that's with leadership changes, because that
Right.
happened.
Right.
That's happened at so many different
And it's
companies. And
unfortunate to see that culture shift because it was like in the beginning, it was fun. It was a good place to work. It was, energetic. And just over time, it got exhausting from just lack of planning and just randomness.
yeah, that unfortunately plagues a lot of companies, and they think they're looking at the bottom line instead of saying, hey, and I remember, I don't know if you've ever had any leaders tell you this, but I believe this, that they're, aside from the customer, their biggest um, asset is their employees.
I wish they believed that.
Yeah. And so that's one of the slogans. I think I saw that. I saw that up like on a poster board. And then what do you know? They started acting like deranged sharks and going after everybody. It was a bloodbath. It's an awful place to be. So,
But
at
I'm
any
glad
rate,
you had that great client example of yours that has the good culture, the leadership that understands that, incorporates their team members. Like if we can learn how to scale that in the greater leadership world and how to be like, here's a great example of, someone to mimic, that would be.
yeah. Well, and I think you can do that. Like, again, it starts with the leader. The CEO has to have that um, ethos,
Yeah, top down.
top down, and then they have to share it all down there. It doesn't mean every manager, every director is going to really be good at implementing it.
Mm.
Um, but if you do have a culture like that, in fact, so this certification course in digital transformation, so they do a lot of case studies, and they did a huge transformation out of an Asian bank. And they hired a new CEO that I think came from Chase, and they had to make some changes because Asia, they're a little more digitally forward even than the States are. They had to make changes quickly, and they had to do a lot with mobile banking. I'll just summarize it there. That CEO
Mm.
set up um, like pods of people. Like they had the business expertise, the line of business, and then he seeded all of the technology. There was a governing body for the technology. Then he seeded the people through all of the business units,
Nice.
and then he had the business unit heads who said that they were dummy technologists. They were dumb about technology, get somewhat trained up, but it was like a cohesive thing. He also set up a flippin' CEO inbox that anyone in the corporation could email him ideas and feedback.
That's awesome, as long as they move on them.
He did.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you can say we're going to take a suggestion box and, people drop stuff in, but then you just throw it away or you ignore it. So as long as that's that culture thing. If you say you're going to do what you're going to do, then do it.
He did. I mean, that's why that's why
Yeah.
the university is using that as a case study.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why maybe business schools are talking about it, but that's the kind of thing that needs to happen. And that's a huge
Yeah.
organization. So
Yeah.
the group that I'm working with is a large, small business. So it's easier to have that control. So
Yeah.
so it's interesting.
What should we make sure that people are walking away with from us today?
Well,
because we talked a whole lot about a whole lot.
yeah. So funny you should say, because I was about to bring that up. It's a good segue. So for the employee, Heather and I've talked about this before. Document your work, speak up constructively, which includes making suggestions. Don't just bitch and moan.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like the way something is, come with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a manager, stand by your employees. If you're a worker bee, connect with your trusted peers. Maybe it requires a solution across the silo, across the departments, right? Another one is stand by your boundaries. We're going to talk in another section about vacation shaming, but that has to do with your boundaries. And then another one was be ready to move on if necessary.
Yeah.
And if you have to try to stay for the paycheck, Heather and I've talked about this before. Realize work is not the be all end all.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a good list from BambooHR, and I can list, it's very long. I'll list this in the resources.
Yeah, we can link it.
Yeah, but it talks about here. BambooHR, by the way, is an outsourced HR company. So for small companies that can't afford their own HR department, but they have some good things in here. Like
Give us the
it
top three.
actually,
What are the top
huh?
three on it?
It defines what a toxic workplace is. Understand what the core values are. Make sure managers follow the core values. Um, it,
That's
it, it,
that's a good thing
yeah.
is like check the place that you're working at. Make sure your values align with what theirs are. And like you don't really know until you get into the mix if they actually uphold them, but that can help you to find the right place that you want to be and is a place that you want to stay and grow in is make sure that your values match what theirs are or vice versa.
Well, they're top three, so they have a whole bunch of things how to recognize the toxic workplace. Um, but their first one, we talked about this, is lead by example and then create open communication channels.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is enable, encourage continuous learning, which is one of your favorites.
It is my favorite. It's my big
But
big
it's a
one.
good article. Yeah, it's a good article. I mean, we probably can get some more mileage out of it, but
Yeah.
anyways, love to hear from you guys. We are starting to get some engagement and some
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah.
So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for anybody that's doing that. And we are starting to dive into like Reddit and TikTok, and we really want real life examples. And
Yeah.
obviously, if we share something, we're not going to share your name or your company or anything like that. So reach out to us. So share, like, subscribe.
Yes.
And then if
Share
you
it with
want,
someone who could use a better Monday.
yeah. And then reach out to us to mondaysunfilters@gmail.com and
Until next time.
stay unfiltered.
There you go.
That's it for this episode of Mondays Unfiltered. If something today made you laugh, think, cringe, or finally question the workplace norms you've been conditioned to accept, good. That's where change begins. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit subscribe, share the episode with someone who deserves a better Monday, and help us push the movement towards healthier, more human workplaces. And we want to hear your stories. The surprises, the successes, the dysfunction, the burnout, the breakthroughs, just send them our way. Your experience might shape a future episode. And remember, we can do better, we can be better, and we don't have to tolerate BS just because it feels familiar. Until next week, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay unfiltered.